Right now, commercial traffic through the Persian Gulf is effectively paralyzed. This map shows the current maritime logjam in the Persian Gulf. Each of these 87 distinct data points represents a different country, with commercial vessels currently trapped in the region. The immediate cause of this gridlock is an aggressive maneuver by Iran, which has attempted to physically seal off the Strait of Hormuz. Shutting down this specific choke point severs one of the most critical arteries for global oil distribution. A prolonged closure here guarantees immediate and severe economic shockwaves across the globe. The simplest reaction to a bottleneck of over 100 trapped ships would be to send a massive naval armada to escort them all out at exactly the same time. But packing dozens of commercial and military vessels into a narrow, restricted waterway creates an enormous target. If the Iranian military got lucky and landed a single strike on that clustered fleet, the resulting escalation could easily trigger a full-scale regional conflict. To manage that extreme risk, the U.S. military has initiated a highly calculated operation known as Project Freedom. The command structure faces a rigid dilemma. They must forcibly reopen the world's most vital maritime route, but the clearance has to happen in systematic, controlled steps to avoid sparking a wider war. Instead of pushing 50 ships through the strait at once, CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper authorized a carefully scaled test, sending just 2 commercial vessels forward to gauge the Iranian response. The reaction was immediate. Iranian forces fired a barrage of cruise missiles and attack drones directly at the isolated test ships. Operating from overwatch positions in the Arabian Sea, U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyers tracked the incoming projectiles and successfully intercepted every single airborne threat. Failing in the air, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps shifted to a surface-level attack, deploying a wolf pack of armed fastboats to swarm the commercial targets. To counter the swarm, the U.S. called in close air support, scrambling Apache and Seahawk helicopters over the waterway. The helicopters systematically engaged the fastboats, neutralizing the threat and sinking all 6 Iranian vessels. By surviving a multi-domain assault from both the air and the surface, this initial probe verified that U.S. forces can reliably defend a small, localized escort moving through the choke point. When analyzing these skirmishes, context is vital. In past engagements, the standard Iranian tactic has been to overwhelm targets with massive swarms of 20 to 40 fastboats simultaneously. This chart illustrates a stark discrepancy. Comparing historical swarm deployments against the attack we just saw, you can see the IRGC only managed to field a severely reduced force of 6 boats. Admiral Brad Cooper closely reviewed this lack of density during his recent operational briefing in Tampa. Admiral Cooper identified this numeric drop-off as a signal of a decline in IRGC readiness. Failing to muster even a fraction of their standard swarm suggests their immediate strike capacity has been compromised. The defense of these 2 ships exposed a gap in Iran's maritime posture. If 6 boats is the limit of their current response, the Navy can begin scaling up its escorts with a much higher degree of confidence. Breaking the physical logjam in the strait represents the first phase of this operation. While the U.S. military dismantles Iran's physical blockade, the administration is simultaneously enforcing a strict economic blockade of its own, actively preventing Iranian oil tankers from leaving their home ports. With export routes frozen, crude oil is rapidly docking up within Iran's borders, filling up massive domestic export hubs like Karg Island. Following this trajectory, analysts calculate Iran's physical storage infrastructure will hit maximum capacity in 1 month. Once breached, producers must execute massive output cuts, risking permanent structural damage to the nation's oil fields. The full scope of the administration's approach relies on this dual blockade. Precise, localized military force secures the physical shipping lanes, while strict economic containment chokes off the adversary's revenue. By holding the line in the strait and letting crude oil spill over capacity limits at home, the strategy functions as a calculated vice grip. It traps the Iranian economy, compelling leadership to return to the negotiating table before their primary financial engine breaks down entirely.